Hello, thank you so much for joining our last Tech Talk for 2023. We will be beginning in just a few moments. While you're waiting, you can see a few housekeeping items on the screen. If you have any questions, please look for the Q&A icon down below and fill out your questions right there. And note that we are recording this and we will be sending out the recording sometime later on this week, or more likely next week since today is Friday. So just hang on for another moment or two and we will get started. Thanks for joining. All right, so I think that we have a good amount on the line here. Just a reminder, we are recording this and we'll send out the recording later. If you have any questions, please be sure to drop them in the Q&A icon below, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can. Don't worry if we don't get to it, we will be sure to answer it after the webinar. All right, so let's get started. So welcome to our last Tech Talk series for 2023. And you may have met me before, Karina Schultz, our Director of Product Management. I'm responsible for working on all those new features and functionality that we hope are meaningful and delightful for you, but I absolutely couldn't do this without a village. And with that, I would like to introduce you to a colleague and friend of mine who is very big behind the scenes, Mr. Anthony Corino, our Senior UI UX Designer. Anthony, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, hey everyone, thanks for taking the time to join us in this exciting talk. Look forward to sharing with you all some of the thought and process that goes into the work that we put out that you all use and make a truly impact on the world with.
Wonderful, and I'm so excited to have you here today, by the way. Okay, so a little bit what to expect. We're going to talk about some of the features that we recently released and also go into some of the highlights for 2023. In addition, a little bit of some nuggets of what to expect in 2024. After that, we're going to talk with Anthony, some Q&A with AQ, as we like to call it here. So let's dive in, and I'm going to run through what's new and some of what we released in 2023 as I've discussed. And we're going to do that first, going through a few slides, but then I'm going to dive into Impactfully like I like to do and just run through directly in our platform. So let's start out with some of the to-do enhancements. So we released this new feature when we released our brand new dashboard. And with your feedback, and I'm going to say that a lot today, we released the notifications. Whoops, sorry about that. We released notifications here. So you can see exactly how many outstanding items you have for each of these buckets here, whether it's grants or payments or applications. And as you know, under each of the main tab items, we have subtabs as well. But we went even further with that. We had started with my to-dos, which are really the actionable to-dos for you as a user in Impactfully. And we brought in that to the whole foundation. So you can see what is outstanding for the foundation. And an example of that would be if you're on a committee for grants, and let's say that you did all of your voting, but in the foundation to do, you can see what grants still require voting from other colleagues on your foundation. So we'll show you a little bit of that when we go into Impactfully. We also added a recommended amount to the application tab, which I'll show you how that can be valuable as well. And again, a direct feature we added because of your feedback. Now, what's coming in 2024 for these to-dos? The ability to customize them. So you can customize the order of your tabs, what subtabs you show, and a bunch more. All right, let's go on to something else now. Again, with the to-dos, but now this is with the task feature. So you're probably getting used to this because it's a brand new concept. You can now add an attachment and look at it as a reminder, and I'll show you a use case when we get into Impactfully. But you can also add a task for someone else, which is not new, but now they'll get an email notification, so they're not caught off guard, just seeing a random task show up. And with 2024, you're going to be able to send a task to multiple users in your foundation. And that's great because you may say, hey, everybody, please make sure to get all your grants in, the committee, right? And get those done by next week, for example. And then also right now we have notifications for the tasks all together, and we're going to remove the completed counts from the total there. All right. Now, the GivingHub. We have done a lot of work with the GivingHub. Super excited about a whole brand new experience for logging into the GivingHub. And to start, we have a URL for your nonprofits. Remember, the GivingHub is for your nonprofits. So as a foundation, there's no need for you to go in there, but it's great for you to know what your nonprofits, grant seekers are going to see. And they're going to see a great new streamlined login experience. They're going to be able to bookmark their URL. They're going to have a revamped help section and a whole lot more. And in 2024, they're going to have two-way messaging between the foundation and Impactfully and the grant seeker in the GivingHub. So a lot going on. Now, we're going to jump ahead to the highlights of 2023 before we go into Impactfully. So first of all, we did a big rename from FSOL or Foundation Source Online to Impactfully. And we did that to recognize the impact that you are having on the world with all of your giving. And that name is so much better suited. And it also reflects the evolution that we have had with our platform, with the usability and the accessibility and all of the new features and functionality we added to the platform, and the customization, and not just the dashboard, but with a brand new experience for charities and the applications and outcomes, all consolidated into one tab, easy experience that's fresh and new. In 2024, we're going to add new tiles like a cash balance tile, so you can know exactly where you are with your distribution account right from the dashboard. We're going to keep continuing to move and condense this dashboard based on your feedback to us. Now, you probably have already seen that with some of the changes, which I will point out when we get into Impactfully. And then again, we have a bunch of other items that we plan to update as we get into 24, and that is based on feedback that we heard directly from you. And then back to the GMS features, we had a slew of these early on in the year, which we continued throughout the year with the GivingHub. But focusing on the applications and outcomes, we created the ability for you to create an application and an outcome and a whole process, including a welcome page, eligibility quiz, and applications from templates that you can select. You could duplicate a process, edit a process, and do a whole bunch of items on there, including create an outcome. Now, you're used to being able to create an application on behalf of a charity. Well, now, trust-based philanthropy, which we're really trying to encourage and do as much as we can in our platform, you can now create an outcome on behalf of your nonprofit. In 2024, you're going to see the capability to create an AFI or other types of forms that you would like to add to your application process, as well as the ability for an eligibility quiz to point to multiple applications. Now, you might be saying, I can do that already. Absolutely, we're not changing any of that. We're just going to give you the ability to do this for yourself and to update any processes you may have that already exist. So before we go behind the scenes with Mr. Corino, we're going to take a look at some of the things we just spoke about in Impactfully, okay? So first, you're going to notice that I'm here at my to-dos. And this is the first thing we talked about. So let's dive in. So I'm at my to-dos, which is what we initially released, was from my perspective as the foundation member. And we have the notification counts, and I'm a good girl, so I'm up to date for the most part. And I'm going to go here into the applications that I have. And you can see that I have 30 to review, and I have 1 to decide on whether I want to grant or decline it. Now, you're going to see a set number of 10 here, but then when you go to view applications, you're going to see the complete list, and that number in that list will match the number here in parentheses. Now, again, with the feedback from clients, we added this recommended amount. Having the requested amount that was on the application is great, but seeing what you or your team had recommended is a much more valuable data point to have. So we added that in here. So let's take a look at the foundation to-dos and talk about the value there. So the foundation to-dos, you can see I had 0 grants on the committees that I'm on. And there are 5 grants here in this list, which means other committee members have not yet voted on some of these grants. So there's the value there. And then you can also see that I am not accessible, because I chose not to be accessible to outcomes. So outcomes is not in my view for my dashboard. So hopefully you can get a sense of some of the differences and the value of both the foundation view and my view, honing in on what is important for me to look at, and then how this bird's eye view is beneficial for both you and your foundation users. Now, we have our tasks here, which of course is not a foundation feature. So I'm just going to click here and go it'll switch me right to my to-dos and I can see my tasks. So I have overdue, upcoming, and complete. So I'm going to go to my overdue where I have seasonal gift bags, and I'm going to go into the details because I want to show you that I can upload a document and attach it right here. And should I want to look at that document, that will be saved for the future. Awesome. And then, if you have your completed tasks, you can easily go in here to the details and you can delete them if you want to remove them from your view, or you can keep them there just to have a record of them ongoing. All right, so again, talking about some of the features that we listened to you about was changing around the top of the dashboard here, just to bring up the space so that you had more ability to view the tiles here. And speaking of, a new feature for 2023 was allowing you to just search directly from the dashboard for charities or grants and not having to go anywhere else. A brand new feature, and this has gotten great feedback. So thank you for that. We're glad when we hear that we've done things that are useful and meaningful for you. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about the charities. So if you go here and you see the charity feature, you'll notice this new tile that we have. Prior to this, it was all a list view, but now we felt that showing this tile view just gave you another way to look at the charity list, but also, quick views to do other things. So if you put in a search, which I always search for dogs, of course, and here we go with my favorite charity, Dogs Finding Dogs. There are more filters here and a whole bunch more going on, but nothing has been removed. Everything has just been streamlined and synthesized for you. And thank you for the positive feedback that we've gotten on this. Furthermore, previously, there were a whole bunch of tabs up here, lots going on. And what we did was we made it nice, easy box over here on the right-hand side so you can quickly see your charities and you can go right into them from the page right here, the toggle modal on the right side. You can also see who you've recently granted to. And again, you can start a grant directly from this modal. And I know at this time of year, you're often thinking about charities, perhaps doing charity research. Again, you can do that with just one click. And if you're trying to see the research status, which many of you may be doing right now and checking it often, we also have two views here. We have this new view, and again, you have actions here, or if you want to go to the previous view, which was a list, you can easily do that as well. You can search by open and completed and view details as well. So a lot of enhancements here, super excited and hope that you are as well. In 2023, we also spent a lot of time with the applications and outcomes. You'll notice that this is one tab. This is one landing page. Before there were 4 tabs underneath this, and now all you need to do is toggle right here, and you can go from applications, supporting forms, and outcomes. Very simple to do. And if you have created applications in your application right here, impactfully, all you do is go to manage applications, and then you can easily go in and look at an application that you have created. And this is the welcome page right there. And if you wanted to start an application process, all you do is go in here. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you, or two things actually I want to show you, is to go into your grants, and we'll go into all payments. We'll go to all status. And all we do is we can quickly go in here. Sorry about that, I picked the wrong one. This happens. And I want to show you how you can complete an outcome on behalf of. So we're going to go here to this payment. And this was not processed, so I cannot do that there. Apologies. I have not used this account in a while, so bear with me. But you can create an outcome on behalf of from the payment record. Sorry about the way the screen is looking at the moment. Or you can do it from the outcomes record. And there's none here. So I'm sorry I can't show you this visually, but in our follow-up, what I'm going to do is I am going to take some screenshots and show you. Lastly, I do want to show you the GivingHub. Let's go to the GivingHub URL. Here we go. So now for the GivingHub, we have a static URL that you can go to. And what's really super fantastic about this is it remembers your device now. So once you log in and have it remember your device and go through the single sign-on process, it remembers your device, unless there's a reason for it. You went to another device, you will have to go through the multi-factor authentication. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of the grant seeker, the nonprofit. But when you go to create an account, and this is where the nonprofit will land for the first time experience, and they will clearly see that this is a free account. They're going to see the information about all the benefits and why they're there in case there's any question. If they're not sure if they should select organization or self being, they're signing up, they're trying to do an application for a scholarship, for example, or an organization, which we know that most of these will be for. And again, for the organization accounts, in case you don't remember, they can invite other members to collaborate, which is really fantastic. And then you just go through, populate your information, and it's a much more streamlined process. So we're hoping that you're happy with these enhancements that we have made. Super excited to be able to provide these for you. And I am going to get back to my PowerPoint. Anthony, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we had some come in. Could you show specifically on the charities page how to switch between the tile and the list view, and then also from the dashboard, if you can show how to switch between the foundation to-dos and the my to-dos?
Yes, I'm going to go into this account right here.
Thank you.
You got it. All you have to do is ask. All right. So the first one was on the to-dos to go from.
Yeah, just so how to go from foundation to my to-dos. So you'll be clicking.
Absolutely. So It is so easy. So you're going to see foundation to-dos. All you have to do, and it gives you a description here as well, just in case you're unsure of what to expect. And you just go to my to-dos. Simple as that. Just a simple toggle, and it will remember your last selection as well.
Perfect. And then the next thing is if you can go back to the charities page.
Yes.
And just show how to toggle between the list view and the tile view.
You got it. Let me search. So right here, you see the tile view, and then there's two options. So you'll see one that looks like boxes, tile view, which is what we're on now. And then we have the list view here, which is what we had previously. I think it's a little updated, but actionable. You know, you can still do things directly from here. And if you don't remember, this house icon is for the main office. Anything else?
We had a question come in about filtering on the favorites in the general charity lookup. That's not something that we have today, but is something that we would love to get your feedback on. So Karina and I will probably reach out to you later. You know who you are, who asked that question, if it's not public. But yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Awesome. Very awesome. Well, hopefully I touched on some things that are new that you didn't know, that are explained a little bit better for you. I know we're going through this quickly, but we're trying to maximize our time. And, you know, in the Q&A, you feel free to let us know what you might like to see in future Tech Talks. All right, now, what I'm trying to do now is to get out of here. Apple. There we go. All right, now let's get that presentation back up here. I'm going to share my screen. I am sharing my screen. So let's go back. All right, how are we doing? Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, it's viewable.
It's viewable.
We've been seeing it.
So with that, I am going to hand it off to Anthony to talk a little bit about what goes behind the scenes, and then I'm excited to ask Anthony some questions.
Yeah. All right. So again, thanks everyone for the time. I know this is very busy for everyone getting grants in. So we really do appreciate you taking the time on your day to just learn a little bit more about what we do behind the scenes. So I am a UX designer here at Foundation Source. I think I've probably spoken to a bunch of you on this call today. So for anyone who doesn't have an understanding of UX, my job is to really to empathize and talk to the end users and anyone who's using the software and be an advocate for you all. So the approach that we do on the UX side is it's really a three-step process. You know, there's some other processes that are very detailed. Ours is pretty streamlined, and we don't do this approach for everything that we do in Impactfully in the software, just because there's some things that don't warrant this. And an example of that would be if you know, something that I'm sure you have seen the interface change the color scheme a bit. When we do things like that, we don't go through this three-step process because we're trying to change the color to make things more accessible. There is an organization out there that has a standard guideline set for accessibility for anyone who might be visually impaired, any sort of disability, so that they're able to use our software appropriately, just like everyone else should be able to. So things like that, we don't do this approach because you know, we have tools that we use to make sure we're meeting those standards. But for anything else that you all would be interacting with, such as the dashboard, expenses, granting, charity search, we would typically do this approach where we're looking through data in the first sort of touch point, and that data can consist of, quantitative, qualitative data, right? It can be conversations with PCAs, conversations with you all in the foundation. We have some internal subject matter experts that we always rely on. And we really just sort of understand what is the intended goal. And then we understand, where our users are trying to get to. And then we understand too, while they're going through that path, where are the hiccups, where are the hurdles that they're hitting along the way. And then once we have a good understanding of that, that's when on the product team, myself, Karina, Edwin, and we'll work together, and we'll have this second piece there where we ideate and prototype, where we're really just using software that we leverage to come up with ideas, come up with solutions. And then what we do then is we will prototype them. So I'll take the designs, I'll put it into a software, and makes it feel like it's as close to a polished and final experience for what Impactfully would actually be like, without having to do all the development work, which is a substantial amount of time. So by doing this prototyping phase, we're able to work really fast and learn really fast, which is what we're always trying to do. We don't want to spend 6 months building something that might not be up to the standard for our partners. So the second piece here, ideate and prototype, this is really key for us, because that's where we really come up with the solutions. And then once we have that, then we really get to take it into the third silo, where it's really just getting it into your hands and giving you that prototype to look at, to play around with. And then you all give us the feedback. And the great thing about the UX approach is it never ends. It's a continuous loop. Software is not something like we always kind of compare it to like a plant. It's always going to need nurturing. It's always going to need fertilizer. It's always going to need attention. It's not something that you just put out there and you just sort of put out to pasture and you never revisit it. So that's sort of what we do on the UX side. And one of the things that we always try and do through all three of these phases is we really try to empathize with our users. We really try and look at what we're doing through your lens. And the best way for us to do that on the product side and the user experience side is to really be able to talk to you all in moments like this. And the PCAs are phenomenal in giving us a lot of their time as well to share the things that they're hearing, but also provide us with a lot of insight that we might not be able to get to. So being able to empathize and hear from you all firsthand is extremely important, and it definitely hopefully is being reflected in the end product that you all are using.
Awesome. Great job, Anthony. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Karina.
All right. So, Anthony, are you ready for Q&A with AQ?
I am. I feel like I should be good at this.
I think that you will be. I think that you will be. All right. So I have my official old school cards here.
I'm getting a little nervous now.
Why are you getting nervous? Okay. So you talked to us a little bit and you told us some things about yourself. So why don't you tell us maybe a little bit more about how you got into, UI UX?
Yeah, so I started as a traditional graphic designer. My first job, I was working at a publisher, and then that was in the early 2000s. And then as the digital revolution took over, I just became more intrigued with it. And I think as I was progressing in my career, you start to use products, and UX has always been around, but it never really had this much emphasis up until, I would say personally, the past 8 to 10 years. But now it seems like people are understanding that a customer-centric approach is very important, and it's sort of been getting more visibility across the digital and design space. And it's one of those things that I just sort of fell in love with. And yeah, I love it, and hopefully it shows in the products that we do.
Awesome. How do you feel when you're on a website and, the button is just clearly in the
Mm.
wrong place? How does that make you feel, Anthony?
Well, it's every user's different, right? Every designer has a different reason why they do things, so never try and judge a site based off of one thing. Um, my poor wife, though, she hears it firsthand when when we're doing stuff around the house. I always look at it from the perspective of, well, does it flow? Does it make sense? But she's a saint, so she's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, what is the difference between UI and UX? And before you answer that, just for people who may not know exactly, can you just say what is UI and UX? Like explain, user experience and so forth.
Yeah, so UI stands for user interface, and sometimes you'll see designers refer themselves as UI UX or product designer or software designer. The terms always change in this space, but really ultimately is sort of the same job. But UI stands for user interface, so that would be the aesthetics, the buttons, the color scheme, everything that you see visually. The experience, the UX portion, is how do you get from A to B? Like, what is the path that you get to? How does it make you feel? The emotions that you're getting as you're going through it. I always tell people, like, UX is sort of like the blueprint for a house that you're going to build. Right, you don't want to put the bathroom in the middle of the kitchen, maybe, or maybe you do for some strange reason. But so the UX is more like the blueprint for the house, and the UI is like the aesthetics, right? So like, what color siding are we pick, what is the shutters going to be, the roof. So that's the best analog or that I can put to it.
No, I think that's perfect. Do you think one is more challenging than the other?
I think it all depends on the person and their background. The UX designers, some come from more of the design space where they went to design school. Some UX designers come from they were former psychologists. There's a couple doctors that I worked with who are now UX designers, where they really studied the human behavior, and that's what sort of drew them into the field, and then they learned design. So I definitely think it just depends on the person and the experience they've had.
Cool. Very good answer. So maybe this one's a little bit more tough, this question. So, you're gathering all this feedback and speaking to all these clients and experts, right? So how do you get to the right decision? Like, how is it determined with all of that feedback and data points?
Yeah, so it really, like I said, it's an endless loop. The right, we know it's the right decision when we're constantly having these calls with the PCAs and the subject matter experts and the foundations, and we're getting that feedback that's telling us that what we're doing is beneficial to them. That in hand with the data, we have some analytics tools that we use where we can see things, and we have surveys that are out there to get feedback. So we use all those to really make the informed decisions. But like I said, it's always a continuous loop for us. Even if we think something's done, we still monitor it, and we're still trying to learn from it. Because I think, as we all know, like, every foundation is going to be different. They're going to be using the platform a little bit differently. So it's very important for us on the UX side to understand that just because we release something, it doesn't mean that we're never going to revisit it. We want to continuously have those conversations and continue to learn from it. So I guess the short answer is that it's never done for us.
Well, you just took away my next question, Anthony. I was
Ah,
going to say, how do you know when a project is done or complete?
yeah, we don't. It's never done. It's going to continuously go on. And that's because, not that we put software out there and we just want to move on from it. We might learn, and there might be new needs from our users and our foundations. Things change, and we're never going to know unless we continuously have those conversations about those specific functionality within the software. So for example, like the dashboard, right? We could have easily just released it and said it's done. But as you know, Karina, we were very involved after the release and talking to foundations and PCAs to get that feedback to improve it, because we knew it's going to be a incremental steps for us to get to the point we're still delivering a lot of value to the majority of our foundations.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other challenge I also think is, unfortunately, being an agile organization, we can't release everything at one time. You know, sometimes we have certain things planned, but it's an iterative process just to get, the features that we want to have out the door, right? I mean, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of the many common issues amongst a lot of software companies is, being agile, but being able to release what you can when you can. Like we said, we don't want to work on something for 6 months, right? And then release it and then find out that we just spent 6 months working on something that wasn't delivering any value. So yeah, agile is definitely the preferred approach for us, and
I agree.
definitely
I
works.
agree. So what if people want to get involved? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, we're always looking for feedback, no matter who it is. If you use the software, that's great. If you are thinking about going through the software, and you're a new prospect, we would love to even know, what is that like for them going through the onboarding phase. For UX, it's literally every touch point that someone has. So it could be specifically to Impactfully, it can be something related to the tax, and anything that deals sort of in the foundation source umbrella, we would love to hear on. And if you want to get involved, Karina has a really great initiative coming up that she's going to share with us. But we have a couple surveys that are out there in Impactfully right now that you can access through Pendo, which is our tool that we use, and it's just by clicking that the I button on the lower left hand side of the screen. There's a section for surveys, and you can provide us some feedback. And in all those surveys, we ask if you are willing to participate in any research sessions with us. And if you just leave your name, I'll reach out to you. And if you don't want to do it that way, my email address will be here at the end. You can email me directly if you ever want to provide any feedback or go through your PCA. So
Awesome.
many ways to get in touch with us.
Yes, many, many ways. Before we move off of the Q&A with a Q, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, this has been great.
Yeah.
I really would just, encourage everyone on this call to just reach out to us if you have anything that's working positively for you and impactfully, or negatively. We would love to hear the feedback. And yeah, that's it for me.
All right, awesome. So let us get back to, all right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate you joining. Always fun to chat with you and sharing, a little bit of what we do behind the scenes. So thank you very much. And as Anthony alluded, we're launching a program. It's really probably going to start more in 2024, but the Impactfully Think Tank. Cool name, a fabulous logo to come in the future. But what it really is, it's a way for you to get engaged. Now we have a long list of people that we speak to, and some of you have volunteered. And if we haven't gotten to you last time, because we had a survey previously, we were just in a cycle, but you are going to be already on the list for this. And the think tank is just, again, opportunity to provide feedback and just to be on a list to be engaged. You're going to see what other technology, you know, we're going to want to know about what other technology you're using. Tell us about your foundation. So again, you know, there are different types of foundation, and different foundations have different types of needs, as you're probably well aware. And to Anthony's point just a moment ago, what's missing? What do you like? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see changed, right? So that's what the purpose of the think tank is, right? Just that feedback loop. And, you know, some of the methods you've seen or been involved in are, you know, are Zoom calls, right? Surveys. And then you'll get to see early concepts, right? And follow it through the process. I mean, sometimes it follows up with, here's what we're thinking in just a PowerPoint. And then it goes through that iterative process where we have a very low res, like a napkin, right? And then it comes into a high res prototype. So you would be able to see all of that. And, you know, we're also wanting to see you use the software and show us how you're using the software in real time, or how you would train somebody to use the software, so that we can know maybe what we can do better. Not from what you say, but from what you do. So what are the benefits for joining our think tank? Well, you're going to have early access to new features and functionality. You're going to have a say in what these new features come out to be, where maybe we're going left and we should be making a right turn. So not only are you going to enhance a platform for yourself, but your fellow foundations that are using impactfully. And hopefully that would be exciting for you. And you're gonna have direct access to us, the product team. I mean, we don't hide our email or anything like that, but we'll have direct engagement. And we know your time's valuable, so you can be engaged as much or as little as you want. We're just happy to have engagement from you, because you're what's important. If our platform is not working for you, then we're not doing our job, right? So if you're thinking about joining, we couldn't be happier. What to expect or how to get involved? Well, right now, if you're just saying, I'm gonna go for it, I want to just contact them today, we have a very special email, very easy to remember, thinktank@foundationsource.com. And we will get you on the list today. We'll send you a link to a survey, likely in January, just trying to get your sense of, you know, what you'd like to be interested in, how much you'd like to engage in, what types of interactions, things like that. And again, remember, this is completely flexible around your time, what your interests are. And I hope this isn't like a negative thing, but we actually like to have fun. So we're very serious about our jobs and what we do, but we do like to have fun with these sessions. And yeah, stay tuned. Forward the link, forward our email addresses. So hopefully giving you a little excitement, to something to look forward to, and we welcome the more the merrier. So forward our email address, and 2024 is going to be pretty awesome. And we did give you a little bit of, you know, some nuggets for 2024, but when we have a more shareable roadmap, we'll be sharing that with you as well in the near future. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you of our end of year giving deadlines. And first and foremost, December 10th is the grant cutoff date. If it's not submitted by then, it will be processed on January 2nd. So that's number one. Also, you know, just be sure that any research cases on charities are submitted, that you have enough money in your distribution accounts, you know, all of those things in terms of your contributions, about where your checks are mailed, all of that good stuff. I know that you've received emails and have seen notifications within our software, but just a reminder, again, December 10th. Also, if you have grants that are scheduled that you haven't made recently, you may want to take a look and see if they might be December 15th. be sure to go in and change that date if you want it to count for 2023. Again, just a friendly reminder about our resource center. Lots of great stuff in there. And just thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, for joining us previously, for being engaged. Your time is valuable. We hope you find these sessions valuable and have a wonderful holiday season, however you choose to celebrate, and have a wonderful new year from me. Anthony, would you like to kick us off or end this, wrap it up?
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great weekend.
All right. Well, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.